it's a special pleasure to welcome well-known WJR radio personality Annette Compo to Greening of the Great Lakes. She hosts the very popular and exceedingly informative Real Estate 411, which airs on WJR each Sunday afternoon between 4 and 5. Annette, great to have you on the program.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here.
Before we get into some of the green initiatives, I was listening to your program, as you know, a couple of weeks ago. You were talking about green initiatives related to refurbishing your home or features in new homes. But overall, how's the real estate market in Southeast Michigan these days? Is it coming back like is reported?
Well, if you're a real estate broker, you always say the market's great. Doesn't matter what the market's doing, the market's always great. But realistically, yes, values have increased. Consumer confidence has been building because we all have to feel confident of our largest investment is gaining growth. And when we have that confidence, in turn, we start to make decisions what to do with it. Like, are we going to downsize? Are we going to upgrade? Things like those questions kind of come up in those family dinners at night or the breakfast for coffees on Sunday. And so we're seeing more of those conversations come around about let's think about selling our house and buying something else. Or maybe if they were renting, they're realizing that because of supply and demand, rental prices have really been skyrocketing in regards to values because there's a lot of people out there looking for rental. So they may think about let's look at buying a house. And so when those conversations start to happen, we see a move in the marketplace a little bit more aggressively than what we've seen when we've just had distressed sales on the market. We have a problem though with inventory. It's pretty well known. Any news wire that you read or on the internet or listen to, or even the TV, you're seeing that the amount of volume of homes on the market is very low. And so what that does is that creates almost a false improvement of sales, meaning property starts to increase faster in value than what it normally would if there was more houses or more of a selection for buyers to be choosing from.
Now, conventional wisdom has it that this time of the year, we move into March and April, is typically a hot time for real estate, for listing homes, for buying, for selling. With this brutal winter we've had, do you see any change in that this year? The snow's got to melt at some point, doesn't it, Annette?
Well, we had a frozen economic story last week on it. That's like my new trendy word. But you know what? When you live in Michigan, you have to be committed to this season. It just is. We're going to get snow. We're going to get a lot of it. Now, a typical snowstorm will stop, just like anything else, stops the flow of people looking at houses or making that decision. But that's a 2 to 3 day stop. People still are looking at houses. And I always tell my sellers, this is the best time to get your house on the market because these buyers are serious. I mean, if they're committed, to coming out in the weather, you know that they're qualified, you know that they want to make a decision when they find that right house, and that house is yours. And so we want to make sure that people understand, don't allow the seasons to dictate when you make that decision, because if you really wait until the spring, which is a great market, to put your house on, obviously that's when your house shines the best because that's where you have the beautiful flowers and all the curbside appeal comes into play. But you're also competing with more people because they're putting their home on the market and have the same philosophy that you have. And so once again, more volume of selection, more competitive, attributes you're going to have in regards to what your house offers.
Well, speaking of attributes, let's talk about green attributes. How big is having green amenities in your home or putting green amenities in your home? Is this a growing trend?
Well, being in the real estate industry for 30 years, and let's flash back to the 80s, I would say no. No one was talking about green initiatives.
Exactly.
But now looking at all of the studies coming out of 2013, National Association of Realtors put out a great study. It's actually a cost versus value, which will show what you can recoup based on how you upgrade your house or how you do it. And one of the top things in that study shows that any green upgrades that you put into your home are showing the highest amount of revenue return based on the average sale price, or what we would say how much you sell your home for. Buyers are saying that 24% of their decision-making process is made out of how efficient the home is. They're asking more about what is the R factor of the insulation. These are questions that buyers don't normally ask until maybe they had a home inspection done. And then the home inspector was, educating them on this is a question you need to be asking. Well, now that question's coming up before they're ever even looking at putting a purchase offer in place or thinking about buying a house.
My guest is WJR radio personality Annette Compo, who is the host of Real Estate 411, which airs every Sunday afternoon between 4 and 5 on WJR 760, the great voice of the Great Lakes. Annette, let's get specific here. You mentioned the insulation rating, etc. What about things like solar and geothermal and even wind that you're hearing so much about now? What kind of an ROI on some of those might there be?
Well, the bigger investment items obviously tend to, the populations can't afford that. The mass population can't afford those. So we're seeing a lot of the funding coming in from the federal government for municipalities to have like a test study where they take one home and they install geothermal, or they put a solar panel on it. But we also have zoning issues as well. So a lot of these municipalities are trying to possibly set a trend for future use of these items, but haven't quite sped that up. So we have the zoning already cleared and the investment already cleared. There really is not a funding for the private homeowner unless they're going through their local municipality for those larger items. But what I am seeing is just simple things like, and I say simple meaning the investment still is pretty great in regards to your pocketbook, but let's say replacing windows, and going to the higher level efficiency on the windows, that's a 76% return on investment. So that's pretty high. The highest one, which is so funny, is your front door. It's 97% ROI, return on investment, based on what you're paying for the door versus when you sell your home. And it's funny because it kind of goes through that whole philosophy of that curbside appeal. You have to get them over the threshold before they ever know what's inside. Well, if they don't like the threshold, they're never going to come inside to see what you have inside your house.
And a lot of people don't know, but you do some of these amenities to improve energy efficiency, what have you. That's a direct tax write-off, if I'm correct.
Well, understand something. It isn't as aggressively on the politicians right now as it was a year ago or 2 years ago. There's now just, I think, a flat $500 is all you get. All of the energy credits have kind of gone to the wayside. Congress has not passed those through or renewed those. I would love to see, and I'm always on the email, always on the phone with our legislature, trying to explain to them why it's so critical to give an incentive for homeowners to actually invest in these energy efficiency items. Not only are they saving money and it makes a good financial decision, it helps buyers and moves the real estate industry as well to motivate them to buy these homes that are high efficient. It creates a curbside appeal or almost a competitive advantage of what's going on in the real estate market. But more importantly, it's just good for our environment. But unfortunately, sometimes legislation doesn't move as fast as Annette Compo thinks it should.
Now, I know we're talking about people looking for these sorts of amenities, the windows, the insulation, maybe some of the bigger things, maybe geothermal if it's a young couple, what have you. But do you notice, is it true that the younger people are more interested in these green amenities than people, say, my age?
Well, I'm finding that, yes, the hype started with the younger generation, but we're finding more and more that people are looking at this as an investment to save money. And they say that any type of a green upgrade that you do on energy efficiency, like if you do an energy audit where they put a blower door on your home and test out where your house is, or the infrared where you can see the different colors on the screen of where you're losing the energy, those types of activities are being done by every generation right now. And so simple things like caulking windows, can save on your energy bill. So, we talk about the elaborate geothermal and solar panels, but just simple things like caulking around your windows. And these are conversations that are now coming more and more across the generations, but buyers are now demanding it. And the younger buyers are in the greatest demand cycle because they expect it, because they don't want to spend money on gas and electricity. They really are looking at more of a fiscal responsibility as well as responsibility to, our environment.
Now we've got about 30 seconds left here. I'd be remiss if I didn't give you an opportunity to say a little bit more about Real Estate 411. I know you discussed green trends on there and a lot of other things, but give us a little bit of a snapshot of the history and the future of Real Estate 411.
Well, Real Estate 411, we're in our 5th season with WJR. being in the industry for 30 years, obviously, as a real estate broker, listing and selling, but in thousands and thousands of kitchens and in living rooms across the state of Michigan. But Real Estate 411 really is a place where consumers can go to get educated on their largest investment. More education, better decisions. And that's really what we strive for. But if you're thinking about buying a home or selling a home, you can always call at 877 Annette. Doesn't get any easier than that. I tell people to program it into their smartphone, 877 Annette. It's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Or you can go to our website at realestate411now.com.
Well, that's you can't, in terms of this age of social media when everybody Googles, that's not hard to remember at all. It's been great talking to you, Annette. I have had the pleasure here of talking with Annette Compo. She's the host of the Real Estate 411 program, which airs on WJR 760 AM every Sunday between 4 and 5. Annette, thanks so much for being on Greening the Great Lakes.
Thank you.